All right, so moving on here, let's say we want to display the content that's currently in a variable. We want to display that or output that to the browser. And what PHP has really done is they really made it easy to accomplish that goal of echoing variables. But as we saw earlier, we don't need a double quote to actually echo out a variable, right? We didn't need a starting double quote here for the echo string and an ending double quote here after the a string variable. So with variables, even if the variable doesn't contain a string such as total, I could have simply have written echo total here and it still would have displayed 400 to the browser. So let's come down here and let's again make a comment here and say echoing variables example. So I'm going to make a variable called question and I'm going to assign the string what is 2 plus 2. And below that, I'm going to make another variable called answer, and it's going to hold the actual answer to that question. And then I'm going to actually echo out question, followed by a semicolon, then echo out answer, followed by a semicolon. So looking at this, what do you think is going to actually be displayed in the browser? It should be what is 2 plus 2, and then after it, it's going to display what's in answer, the variable answer, which is 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this, refresh my browser, and it does. It says, what is 2 plus 2, question mark, then 4. So again, if you're not exactly understanding this, let me just go through this example here again. Here we have the variable and we assign what is 2 plus 2 to that variable. And here we have another variable answer that holds the answer to this question 4. So here we go to echo. And from this echo, it's looking for the variable question. So it may start up here and it'll scroll down through here extremely fast and find this variable and say, okay, what's inside this variable question? It finds what is 2 plus 2. So it displays that to the browser as we saw here, what is 2 plus 2. So then it goes to the next echo command, which is answer. And it does the same thing. It goes to this file and it finds answer and it finds the value that's in answer and it displays that to the browser. So moving on here, let's take this one step further. Let's say if some of you are wondering if you could actually use variables inside double quoted strings. And the answer is yes. So let's make another comment here and I'm say echoing text strings and variables. And let's say we had echo what is 2 plus 2 and I say that's easy. 2 plus 2 is what? Answer. So as you can see here, I have a regular echo string, but I also have a variable inside this echo string. So I'm going to save it and we're going to see what happens. And let's load this again. It's taking a while for my image to load there. But anyway, as you can see, we have what is 2 plus 2 question mark, and we have that's easy. 2 plus 2 is 4. And to make this a little easier for you to read, because everything is starting to be crowded up, let's put 2 line breaks there. And let's reload this page. All right, so that's better. All right, so now as we can see, we have what is 2 plus 2. That's easy. 2 plus 2 is 4. So as you can see here, even with the double quotes or even with placing this variable inside this echo string, it still displays what's inside of the answer variable, which is 4. So that brings up a really interesting point of why variables are so useful. Let's say I just hard coded that 2 plus 2 is 4, or let's say by mistake I had 2 plus 2 is 5. And let's try to imagine that we are really advanced programmers and we ended up having a lot of echo statements that said, what is 2 plus 2? And we said that's easy as 5. And we realized we made a mistake, right? 2 plus 2 is actually 4. Well, if we realize that, we will have to actually go back in here and change each echo command to 4, right? To actually fix this. Well, where variables come in, or where variables are really useful, is we could have simply just had this variable answer here and replaced each one of these. Instead of having to go back and hard code it, we could change what's inside that variable. So let me just add a couple of more echo commands. So like I was saying here, if we had by mistake set answer or assign to the variable answer the value 5 by mistake, we could simply just update this one variable instead of having to hard code or update or modify each echo command individually and changing it to 4. So again, save it. Let's go to our browser, see what happens. We see what is 2 plus 2. That's easy. 2 plus 2 is 5. We realize that's wrong. So let's find the variable answer, change it to 4, save the file again, refresh. And as we can see, it updated all of these echo commands. So hopefully that opens your eyes, especially to those who are new to coding in general, why variables can be really useful. And we'll get more into this later on ways we can really make use of using variables. All right, and the last piece of information I want to leave you with before ending this tutorial is, if you want to output the value of a string within a variable, use double quotes and not single quotes, as single quotes will only display or output the name of the variable. So for example, let's say we had echo answer and we had another echo command that had single quotes and answer. I'm going to save this and I'm going to actually refresh my browser. And that may be quite hard to see, so let's echo out a line break and refresh the browser. So as you can see here, we have 4 and then we have the text $answer. And that was given from this echo command here. So as you can see, if you use single quotes, it's going to actually display the name of this variable. If you use double quotes, it's going to actually display the value inside this variable, which is 4. So that does conclude this tutorial, and I hope now you have a good understanding of the echo command and some of its basic functions. So be sure to take the online quiz at thephpbasics.com, and I'll see you in the next video.